Welcome to my first interview with the Data School Coach. And today I'm happy to welcome Martin Pohlers, who is our head coach at the Data School in Germany. Thanks for joining me, Martin.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, great. Why don't you tell everybody about yourself?
Yeah, sure. I've been working with the Information Lab now for more than 6 years already. Before I was a data analyst with a stats background, and in the job I had, the most fun thing was Tableau. So then, but it only took up a small portion of my time. So that's why I then went to Information Lab to work more on that. So I was most of the time at Information Lab a consultant and a trainer. And now since about 9 months, I've transitioned over to supporting the data school as a head coach.
Great. And why did you want to be a coach?
Mm-hmm.
So why that transition from the consultant to the teaching?
I kind of always had an interest for teaching. So already in school, my classmates came to me to ask me questions how something was going. In university, I had people that I taught stuff like in, I don't know, Studienkreis, it's like in German. So basically, we had a couple of people. I prepared them for the exams. So that was always a thing. I liked as a consultant. I like doing the trainings with my customers. But what I also realized is that seeing people 2 days and maybe in 4 months, another 2 days is not as fulfilling as seeing how someone grows from the start and you can help them along the way more and more. So that was what was for me interesting, seeing how people develop from the beginning towards becoming a great data analyst.
Other than teaching, what does a data school coach do?
So I work together with you guys from the UK to make sure we have trainers for the curriculum. So I manage our curriculum. I make sure they the data schoolers post their blogs as they're supposed to. I'm there for one-on-ones for feedback sessions. I'm there for any kind of problems they have, any any bad feelings, trying to help them along the way. I try to watch as many presentations as I can to give them feedback about how much they can do better or not. I do work in the recruitment process, trying to see as many candidates as I can, to find the ones that should be a part of the data school.
What are you looking forward to the most?
I think I'm looking forward the most, since in Germany we just kind of started pretty recently. I'm looking forward the most for our first customer feedback from placements. When they say, hey, they did a tremendous job. I'm so happy that we got them. I'm really looking forward to that moment.
What's been most challenging to you so far?
Finding a balance. So we had in Germany the Analytics Academy before we adopted the data school in the current form that the UK has been so successful with for so many years. And when we started our own way, we had the challenge between how much like content do you teach versus how much practical time you need to get that content on the road. And from the first cohort to the second, we already reduced input to more practical stuff, and to the third one as well. And now even more, because we realized that it doesn't help listening and doing some exercises. You really need to do the projects. You really need to immerse yourself in a problem, in a customer-centric problem, to learn something. Otherwise, you won't be doing a great job. And that was for us a tough experience to make, because we had the feeling that we taught them a lot, but we still didn't prepare them as good as we could have for the placements.
How have you improved the most as a teacher?
When I first started as a teacher, I remember a moment at a bank in Frankfurt where we taught a class, and I was kind of fresh, and I love Tableau so much, so I taught them something, and then I walked around, uh, and I saw they were struggling, and I was like, hey, you should do this, you should click here. And then at some point, there's this one woman, she said, hey, can you just let me do it and try it out for myself first? And I was like, at that moment, oh, that's kind of rude. But then it kind of sank in over time. Hey, yeah, really, I need to let them do this stuff. I need to lean back a bit. I need to ask if they need help. I don't just go there and like take the mouse and do something. So I think that is like being more relaxed and letting them do, being there for questions, doing a lot of check-ins, knowing whether they understand something. I think that's where I improved the most.
So you've talked about how you think you've improved the most as a teacher, but looking forward, where do you think you can still improve the most?
There's always room to explain stuff more clear. Like there's, especially when you teach somebody something that you know at the moment so much more than them, the hardest thing is to say not too much. And I think at some points, especially when you know a lot, you want to tell them everything, like that edge case here and that edge case there, and then you confuse people more. So I think I can still get better in just focusing on that specific topic I need to teach right now, and then worrying about all the edge cases later when they are important.
What advice do you have? Any kind of basic advice you have for applicants?
I think it is great that inside of our application process, you are forced to look at Tableau Public and use Tableau Public, because you should you should listen to your heart, what it says to you when you work with the tool. If you have a feeling in the application process already that it's a burden, that like, oh, I have to do this Tableau Public thing, I have to create a Tableau Viz, then maybe it's not the right job for you to spend maybe 2.5 years full time with. But on the other hand, if you feel like, oh, that's fun, I like doing that, then go for it. Then just learn more, do work with it. Even if we would say you can't be part of the next cohort, you can still improve and just kind of keep that curiosity that we humans have, and use that inside of the data RAM to learn Tableau, to learn the tools. And I think so that kind of naturally, the natural curiosity, that motivation to learn something, that is very important in our job. And if you see that triggered by the application process, that's the right job for you.
Exactly, yeah. One of the things that we've heard from a lot of candidates that don't get in is that they love that they found something they're passionate about, right? They know they didn't get in and they're disappointed, but now they have a bit of direction on where they want to go with their career. And if we can even just provide that part to people, I think that's really useful for us. And it's kind of I think our duty, if we're asking somebody to learn something, we should be able to help them going forward as well.
I actually had a very interesting situation last weekend. I was with my wife out for dinner. We had a server, and he told us, "Hey, so if you want to come to this place again, you should soon, because it's gonna be all demolished in a month." And I was like, "Oh, okay. And what's gonna happen with you?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'm actually studying right now, and I'm gonna do a job, something with data and marketing." I was like, "Ah, data and marketing." And
That sounds like a good match. Yeah.
I had my Tableau shirt on and my sweatshirt which says data. I
Yeah.
show it to him, and he's like, "Wait, I remember now. I remember you. I remember the information app. I was at an info evening of the information app where you explained the data school, and I really liked it. And I was kind of fascinated about data. And then I looked around, and I found this other job that I'm really passionate about now." And it's like, "Hey, cool. But still remember, if you don't like the job, think of us again."
Yeah. How that's like super random. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. And what are you looking for in a candidate?
You need to be willing to receive feedback and improve. That's already happening inside of the application process, but it's going to be doing the training, it's going to be in placements, and after 2.5 years, it's still the same. Like the same for me now. After 6 years, I still love feedback from anyone trying to get better,
Yeah.
and we need that, because otherwise you won't be good in the job. I think you should have you should like numbers. That helps. So like, if you have a feeling what's 10% of 100, and that's already scares you, then maybe it's not the right job. You should be a communicative person, like talking to others, being not afraid of asking questions, helping others. Especially, I think the helping others is that's what's going to make yourself better, and that's what's going to make everyone around you better, because you're going to be in a group of 8 people who are also passionate, and you can grow so much more as a group if you help each other out.
So while they're in training, what have you seen so far that's most challenging for data schoolers, and how have they overcome it?
I think that the projects are the most challenging for them.
The customer
The
projects,
customer projects,
right?
absolutely. So getting to know a new customer, a new data, a new use case, a new, not no, new, on Monday morning, and then trying to figure out, okay, what type of questions do I need to ask to understand what the customer wants from me? How do I tie that to the data? Uh, how do I structure myself during the week? How do I set myself deadlines, organize myself? And then how do I present this on Friday while still doing training sessions during the week? How do I scope my project? So that's been the most challenging, and I think
Yeah,
they have improved with every project, but still every project gets something new. And I also had the experience in a just a project a couple weeks ago where our cohort was struggling a bit to understand the customer and what they really wanted. So we always encourage them to ask just as many questions as they can, try to understand it. But I had the feeling that they didn't ask enough questions, so I kind of took over for them at that moment.
yeah,
And then afterwards, they told me, "Hey, that was like a role model for me. How you interacted with the customer, how you went through that process." And I was like, "Yeah, what did I actually do, guys?" Huh? I was like, "I did nothing else but trying to understand the problem. I
right.
didn't know anything about the problem. So when he said one word, I didn't know that, so I asked about that, and
Yeah,
then the next one, and then the next one. I didn't know my questions." That like the second next question, I didn't know that before because it kind of depends on the answer before. And then
yeah,
like just that curiosity, trying to understand what the customer wants helps you finding the right question. But that was something for them that was good to see,
yeah,
because that kind of took the load from them. It's like hearing somebody says, "Well, you're asking the right question." That's what they told me. So when you did that, you were asking the right question. It's like, yeah, asking the right question sounds kind of daunting. Like, how do you find the
yeah.
right question?
Okay, one more question for you, Martin. What can data schoolers do during training to look impressive for clients that are looking for them in placement?
Great questions. We just had actually an interview from a data schooler with a potential client, that was kind of for me an exact way of what we teach them in the beginning, and the customer just asked for exactly that. So he is like, "Okay, so what's your background? Tell me a bit about your story, how you came into the data school." So be
Mhm.
prepared to have a good story on hand. What kind of motivates you? What fascinates you? Why did you choose that? Because they want that. And alongside of the training, work on your Tableau public profile. That's what the client asked about. It's like, do you have some proof of work? Do you have something that you can show me?
Exactly. Yeah.
So yeah, we sent him the Tableau public profile, and he was like, "Yeah, cool, that's stuff. A lot of visits. I can see how you're improving in only
Yeah.
that short amount of time." But what I also liked about what the customer said is, "Hey, we want somebody who is critical. We want somebody who doesn't just say yes and does it, but who actually asks questions and tries to understand and tries to make it better." And I was like, "Yeah, that's exactly what we're teaching them. Thank you, customer. Can I have you? Can I have you next time in the first week of the data school, and you just repeat that?"
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you very much for your time, Martin.
Thank you very much for the
All
question
right.
and the time to chat with you.